What if I told you the best games in 2025 aren't the giant blockbusters? Yeah, no billion-dollar hype trains here. I'm talking about AA RPG gems. Ambitious, creative, sometimes rough around the edges, but packed with heart and gameplay that actually surprises you. So buckle up, because this list isn't about safe picks. It's about the 15 AA RPGs you need to play this year. Let's begin with Kingdom Come Deliverance, or as some players call it, medieval peasant simulator where even opening a lock feels like a boss fight. This isn't your usual power fantasy. It drops you in Bohemia 1403 as Henry the Blacksmith's son and says, "Good luck surviving in a world that couldn't care less about you. Instead of fireballs and dragons, you get mud, hunger, and nobles looking down on you if your clothes are filthy. NPCs live real routines, shops close, guards enforce curfews, and people actually remember what you've done or failed to do. It's a full roleplay where the smallest detail, like wearing bloodstained armor, changes how others treat you. Quests don't hold your hand and they don't even wait for you. Directions are vague, and if you miss your chance, the world keeps going. It feels more like investigating than ticking off a checklist, which keeps you invested in a way a lot of modern RPGs just don't. Progression is equally unforgiving. Want to get better with a sword? Swing it, stumble, bleed a little, and eventually improve. Same goes for speech, archery, or even riding. Combat itself is heavy and tactical, with directional strikes, stamina management, and layered armor. Take on more than 2 enemies at once, and you'll probably be kissing the dirt. But that tension is the point. By 2025, the Royal Edition makes it the definitive version, packing all DLCs, from rebuilding a village to role-playing as Teresa during the invasion. And on PC, mods polish things even further, while on consoles and Switch, the experience is rougher but still worth a shot if portability or convenience is the priority.
What are you doing? For God's sake! Stop right now! The catch pole is on his way!
Lords of the Fallen kicks things off with a convicted criminal being released just so he can go beat up demons for the people who locked him away. Because nothing says we trust you now, like handing the world's most violent guy a giant axe and pointing him at an army from hell. Right from the start, you feel that weight. Every swing is slow, brutal, and loaded with commitment. It's not trying to be twitchy or flashy. It's about managing stamina, reading enemy patterns, and deciding when to risk it all. And then there's its best mechanic, the XP multiplier system. The longer you go without banking your XP, the higher the rewards climb. But when you die, that unspent stash sits on the floor with a timer ticking down, daring you to sprint back before it evaporates. It's a constant gamble between greed and survival, and it keeps the tension alive in every run. The class and magic setup is surprisingly deep too. You've got your basic warrior, cleric, and rogue archetypes, but they open into different schools of magic. And the Gauntlet, which is a magical cannon strapped to your arm, lets you play with projectiles, explosions, and crowd control in ways most Soulslikes don't. Add in the rune system to tweak weapons and armor, and suddenly builds feel a lot more flexible than you'd expect from a mid-budget project. Boss fights are the real highlight. Almost every major enemy hides a secret condition. Beat them without taking damage, kill them fast, or finish them in a specific way, and you walk away with a unique legendary weapon. And while the world itself is smaller and more straightforward than its big-name cousins, that's kind of the charm. It's a focused, self-contained experience. A single-player challenge where you're free to experiment without worrying about invasions or co-op balance. Next, we'll talk about Atelier Ryza 2, the one where alchemy and oversized staffs somehow solve more problems than actual swords. And this sequel doesn't just recycle the first game, it actually gives you way more freedom. You're not just running around fields anymore, now you're diving underwater, swinging across gaps with a grappling hook, and even cruising around on a mount. It feels less like a corridor JRPG and more like a small adventure playground with secrets tucked into every ruin. Speaking of ruins, that's the real hook this time. Instead of random fetch quests, you're piecing together fragments of ancient records with this mystical compass. Fill out the exploration diary, unlock lore, grab some SP, and push deeper into the loop of explore, craft, fight, and repeat. It's surprisingly addictive because every discovery feeds straight into the crafting tree. And that tree? It's basically a skill grid on steroids. With recipes, passives, quality upgrades, it all flows from there. Combat finally feels fast and snappy too. No more waiting forever, it's real time with an ATB twist. You're chaining skills, spending AP, tossing in items at the perfect moment, and raising your tactics level to unlock stronger combos. It's flashy without drowning you in mechanics, but there's still plenty of room to break the system if you're into min-maxing. And then there's Evolution Link, the alchemy trick where you fuse two items into something new. Sometimes it's brilliant, but sometimes it feels like the game's saying, figure it out, genius. But when it clicks, you feel like you just hacked the system. So yeah, the game where Pinocchio goes full Souls-like, because why not turn a wooden puppet into a parry machine? Lies of P looks like a From Software cousin but plays with its own tricks. Combat revolves around that nail-biting perfect guard, where mistiming means pain, and nailing it cracks enemy posture wide open. Weapons aren't just loot drops, they're Lego kits, as blades and hilts mix and match to create your own movesets, and even flashy Fable arts. But combat is more than swinging steel. Every clash is built around perfect guard. Time it right, and you stagger enemies, break their weapons, and recover lost health through guard regain. Miss it, and you're punished hard. Dodging exists, sure, but the game pushes you to stand your ground and parry. Add the Legion arm, which is your mechanical Swiss Army knife that shoots flames, grapples enemies, or even shields, and suddenly fights get spicy in all the right ways. Progression is layered too. The P-organ system, yes, that's really what it's called, lets you slot in quartz to tweak everything from healing charges to parry payoffs. And while there's no co-op summoning with your buddies, you do get specters to help out against bosses, which is handy since some of them hit like trucks. Level design stays linear but tight, packed with shortcuts and secrets. And if you're jumping in now, the game's in its best shape yet, because post-launch patches smoothed rough edges, added boss rush and replay modes, and even gave us difficulty options. Oh, and the massive Overture DLC? It adds a brutal prequel chapter with new bosses, areas, and weapons. Easily another 15 to 20 hours if you're brave enough.
This city was doomed.
Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous isn't just big, it's absurdly big. The kind of RPG where you open the character sheet and immediately question your life choices, but that's also what makes it incredible. This is a CRPG that hands you the keys to an entire kingdom of options, and then says, good luck, don't screw it up. You're not just rolling dice here, you're choosing a mythic path that literally changes who you are in the story. Become an angel, a lich, a trickster, or even a swarm that walks, and watch the entire campaign twist around your decision. Combat? You get both worlds. Real-time with pause when you want to blitz through mobs, and turn-based when you need pure tactical focus. Switching between them mid-fight is smooth, and it makes boss battles feel like chess while still letting you autopilot the trash. Add in dozens of classes, archetypes, and respec options, and yeah, you can lose hours just tinkering with builds before even killing your first demon. Then there's the Crusade system, where you lead armies on the side like it's a strategy game stapled onto your RPG. Some people love the extra layer, others roll their eyes, but it's there. And it does make the war against the demonic horde feel massive in scale. By 2025, Wrath of the Righteous is in its Game of the Year edition, with every DLC wrapped in, including the final expansion that ties up companion arcs. On PC it feels at home, while the console versions are solid if not as slick. So here's the deal with Remnant from the Ashes. It's basically, what if Dark Souls had guns? Yeah, it sounds like a meme pitch, but somehow it actually works. The game throws you into a ruined world crawling with monsters, hands you a rusty rifle, and that's it. But the combat is the real hook. Every shot has weight. Dodges give you that sweet iframe relief, and slapping a new mod on your weapon can completely change how you fight. One moment you're lobbing fireballs with a shotgun, The next, you're healing your team with a glowing turret. It's fast, tense, and when you finally drop one of those giant multi-phase bosses, the adrenaline hit is real. But this isn't just a one-and-done campaign. The worlds are partially procedural, meaning bosses, events, and even side dungeons change from run to run. Add in adventure mode, which lets you re-roll areas for loot, and survival mode, a roguelike gauntlet where you start with nothing and push your luck as far as you can, and suddenly, you've got a game that begs to be replayed. Now, co-op is where it really shines. Up to 3 players teaming up makes the chaos feel controlled. Well, somewhat. You'll still get wrecked if you're sloppy, but covering each other, reviving mid-fight, and melting bosses together, it's pure satisfaction. Solo's doable, but this game was born for squad nights. And platform-wise, you're covered. On PS5 and Series X, you can lock in 60 frames per second at full HD, or push 4K at 30 if you want the sharper look. Even Switch has the full package with all expansions. Not the prettiest port, but surprisingly solid on handheld. Tokyo Xanadu EX Plus is one of those games where you glance at it and think, oh, so Falcom made Persona with less homework. And honestly, yeah, that's pretty much the vibe. Except the dungeon crawling here is real-time action, not turn-based. You're juggling 2 lives, daytime in Morimiya City, hanging out with classmates, running errands, and unlocking side episodes. Then night falls, and you dive into the Eclipse, which is a twisted, monster-filled dungeons where every run spits out a grade like your teacher just checked your homework. The best part? There's no calendar stress breathing down your neck. You actually get to decide how to spend free time instead of panicking about missing content. Combat keeps things fast. You swap characters on the fly, exploit elemental weaknesses, and if you're good, you'll be chaining EX skills and pulling off flashy X strikes like an anime finisher reel. The EX Plus version piles on even more, with higher difficulty modes, intermissions between chapters, a full afterstory after the true ending, and a new game plus packed with exclusive dungeons. Basically, the Vita release feels like a demo compared to this. And between elemental affinities, skill customization, and party synergy, it pushes you to actually engage with the system if you want those sweet S ranks. Exploration outside combat leans cozy, with a compact city, optional friendship events, and a ton of side quests that give the world personality without padding. And in case you're wondering which version to grab, PS4 and PC give you silky 60 frames per second. But the recent Switch port adds a polished English localization, making it a great all-around package right now. Hey guys, do me a solid and smash the hype button. Then drop a comment with your favorite pick for the next part of this series. I check and reply to all of them. They both feed the almighty algorithm and push this channel forward, and honestly, it's hands down the best way you can help the channel grow. And of course, if you're enjoying the video, make sure to subscribe and hit the like button so you won't miss the next one. Steel Rising is one of those games where you think, oh great, another Soulslike. But then you realize you're slicing through clockwork soldiers in the middle of the French Revolution. You play as Aegis, a mechanical bodyguard, fighting through an alternate Paris where Louis XVI runs a deadly army of automatons. It's a wild setting, and the visuals nail that creepy yet fascinating Revolution with Gears vibe. Combat feels familiar if you've touched any Souls-like, but it has its own flair. The big hook is the instant cooling system. Nail the timing, and you instantly recover stamina to keep swinging, but mess it up and Aegis literally freezes in place. Add in the immobilization bar, which lets you stun enemies for a finishing blow. And suddenly you're pushed to play aggressively instead of just circling and poking. With 9 weapon classes, from heavy wheel blades to rifles that eat through alchemy ammo, and dozens of variations, the game gives plenty of room for experimenting. Builds get even crazier with modules that change passives and elemental tools like air dashes, grappling hooks, and explosive kicks that double as traversal and combat tricks. Exploration leans into verticality more than most in the genre. You'll unlock shortcuts, hidden rooftops, and secret paths that feel almost Metroidvania-like. It's a clever way to spice up Paris's labyrinthine districts, even if you'll be cursing the lack of an actual map more than once. And for those intimidated by the genre, Steel Rising does what most Souls-likes don't. It actually lets you tweak the difficulty. The assist mode allows sliders for damage taken, stamina regen, and even whether you lose XP on death. Lengthwise, expect around 20 hours for a full run, more with side quests, New Game Plus, and the short but intense Cagliostro DLC. So you think you're done with RPGs that drown you in dialogue? Well, Shadowrun Dragonfall shows up to remind you that, yeah, walls of text can actually be worth reading. Set in a twisted cyberpunk Berlin, you're dropped into the Kreuzbazar hub with a squad of mercs who are way more than just walking stat sheets. Iger, Glory, Dietrich, Blitz, each comes with baggage, personal quests, and the kind of moral dilemmas that make you pause before clicking confirm. It's storytelling closer to Planescape than a disposable tactics game. Combat runs on turn-based action points with hardcover, overwatch, ley lines for spellcasters, and a nasty stun mechanic that lets you shut enemies down for brutal finishers. One wrong move in the game punishes you fast. But what keeps it fresh is how much your attributes and skills actually matter outside of fights. Dialogue checks, hacking, biotech knowledge, they all carve alternate paths through missions, sometimes letting you bypass entire encounters. Character builds are wide open. No rigid classes here. You spend karma however you want. Go full cybernetic samurai and tank your magical essence, or lean into shaman summons, decker hacks, or street-level gunplay. The director's cut made things even better, adding new missions, alternate endings, crew advancement choices, and the glorious Save Anywhere feature. It's the definitive way to play. With 20 to 30 hours for a campaign, and a ton of replay value thanks to different builds and branching choices, Dragonfall stands tall as one of the smartest AA RPGs out there. Now imagine this. You wake up in a corporate dystopia, strapped into a heavy exo rig, and your first day on the job basically turns into a robot uprising. Classic office problems, right? That's the Surge, a world where the employee benefits include power tools and frequent dismemberment. Instead of swords and dragons, you're swinging industrial tools, ripping armor off enemies piece by piece. The limb targeting system is the star here. Aim for the legs if you want mobility gear, or arms if you're eyeing a new weapon. Go for unarmored spots to kill faster, or risk hacking at the plated ones to unlock brutal executions and maybe snag their loot. But what really keeps you hooked is the scrap system. It's your XP and currency rolled into one, but die, and it drops on the floor with a timer ticking down. That little countdown is pure stress fuel. Do you bank it at the medbay or push deeper, hoping to grab more before risking it all? Then there's your exo rig. You can slot in implants that tweak healing, stamina, energy gain, and even summon a drone buddy to chip away at foes. It's not about building a giant RPG sheet of stats, but rather tuning your playstyle like a machine. And the levels themselves are tight, interwoven hubs full of shortcuts waiting to be unlocked. Sure, the environments lean heavily on the industrial wasteland chic, but when you're cutting off robot arms to craft your next upgrade, you're too busy grinning at the absurdity of it all. The Surge might not have dragons, but it sure knows how to make power tools feel legendary.
Security looks tight here. Word is.
So here's the thing about East 9 Monstrum Nox. You start locked up in a city prison and somehow end up wall running like a discount Spider-Man. Yeah, Falcom doesn't even try to ease you in, they just hand you superpowers and throw you into Balduke, a massive gothic playground begging to be climbed, glided over, and warped through secret shortcuts. The game's real hook is how traversal and combat blend together. Each monstrum joins with their own gift, like wall run, shadow warps, and even a bat form glide. And suddenly the city feels alive with vertical routes and hidden chests tucked into corners you never thought you'd reach. And when you do hit a fight, it's that classic fast-paced E style. You're swapping characters on the fly, shredding through enemies with slash, pierce, or strike attacks, then nailing that perfect flash move or flash guard for a hit of pure dopamine. Bosses especially push you to master those systems. turning every duel into a flashy dance of dodges and punishes. Story-wise, it's darker than past E's. Instead of sunny islands or big world treks, you're stuck inside Balduke with its politics, conspiracies, and an actually pretty likable cast of monstroms. Each chapter spotlights one of them, and side quests aren't just filler. They flesh out the city and its people in ways that make you want to do them. It's one of those RPGs where skipping side content feels like skipping half the game. Performance-wise, if you're on PC or PS5, you're golden. Smooth frame rate, quick loads, and even local co-op on PC if you want a friend jumping in. Switch gets points for portability, but yeah, let's just say Balduke wasn't designed to run at handheld stability.
I don't think it's just one dragon exactly. You know what they say, two heads make for a better fight than one.
The world is being torn asunder.
Divinity Original Sin 2 pretends to be a classic CRPG, but then hands you so much freedom it feels less like role-playing and more like supervised mischief, except the supervision quit a long time ago. You can set entire battlefields on fire, electrocute puddles, or blow yourself up because you forgot your own poison cloud. It's tactical brilliance wrapped in absolute anarchy. The combat is turn-based, but it never feels slow. Every fight is a puzzle, with terrain, height advantage, and elemental combos turning even random skirmishes into highlight reels. The dual armor system, physical and magical, means you can't just spam crowd control. You have to break through shields first. Character building is wide open. There are no rigid classes, so you're free to mash skills together and create something ridiculous. Want a summoner who also has wings? Or a rogue who shoots fireballs? Then go for it. The systems are so open that half the fun is experimenting with builds that shouldn't work but somehow do. Then there's the writing. The origin characters like Fane, Sabile, and Loz bring their own stories and drama. And if you don't like them, you can roll your own hero and still influence the world in massive ways. Quests rarely funnel you down a single path. Fail a persuasion check? You might unlock an entirely different storyline. Killed the wrong NPC? Don't worry, the game adapts. It constantly reacts, sometimes in hilarious ways, sometimes in brutal ones. And if you think this sounds like a single-player sandbox, wait until you drag in 3 friends. Co-op is glorious chaos, ally, enemy, backstabber, all in one.
I'm ready.
Now let's talk about Mortal Shell, the game that tosses you into a swamp full of things that clearly hate you and then acts like that's totally normal. It looks almost too straightforward at first, but the deeper you go, the more it reveals a set of mechanics sharp enough to make every fight feel like it's laughing at your mistakes. The core gimmick is Harden, where you literally turn to stone mid-swing to absorb a hit and then smash back into the enemy's face. No shields, no spam healing flasks. Instead, you survive by parrying with razor-thin timing and cashing in resolve to heal. Then come the shells, which are 4 fallen warriors you inhabit, each with different stats and skill trees. Think of them as builds you can swap mid-game, and each one gives you a one-time second life. Die, and you're thrown out of the shell. Sprint back, re-enter, and boom, you're back in the fight. Combat hits hard and every weapon feels distinct. You've got the massive Martyr's Blade for anime-sized swings, the nimble hammer and chisel for lightning-fast combos, and later, the axe katana from the DLC. Enemies punish mistakes fast, but mastering hardened chains and parry heals makes you feel untouchable in the best way. The world itself is tight and focused. Fulgrim serves as the swampy hub, branching into 3 themed temples: fire, ice, and something more eldritch. Each holds bosses that actually test your grasp of mechanics, not just your patience. And because the campaign is shorter than a typical Soulslike, around 10 hours on a first run, it never overstays its welcome. The world's on the brink, humanity's hanging by a thread, and your best shot at survival is drinking blood in a post-apocalyptic anime nightmare. Yeah, subtle isn't really Code Vein's thing, but that's kind of the charm. The big draw is freedom. Instead of locking you into a single class, the game hands you blood codes, which is basically swappable classes, and lets you shift your build on the fly. One minute you're tanking hits with a massive greatsword. The next you're casting spells like a glass cannon mage. Add gifts that pile on passives and flashy skills, and you've got endless ways to experiment. Then there's the companion system. You're never really alone, as an AI partner tags along. And while they sometimes do their best impression of a clueless NPC, most of the time they're a lifesaver. They revive you, deal solid damage, and make the brutal spikes feel more manageable. For anyone intimidated, this makes Code Vein way more approachable without neutering the challenge. And let's be real, the character creator deserves its own mention. People spend hours, literal hours, just perfecting their look before stepping into the ruined world. It's ridiculously detailed, and if you're into anime aesthetics, this is basically paradise. The world itself leans heavy into gothic ruins and blood-soaked lore, with story beats delivered through vestiges that dive into tragic backstories. It's melodramatic, sure, but it hits a very JRPG-style emotional core. And when you factor in optional co-op, New Game Plus, and side areas like the Depths, there's more than enough content here to keep you grinding, experimenting, and theory crafting builds long after the credits roll. And let's wrap up the list with Tyranny, the RPG where evil already won, and you're not the hero trying to fix it. You're the bureaucrat making sure the Dark Empire runs on time. Yeah, sounds depressing, but it's brilliant. You play as a Fatebinder, judge and executioner rolled into one, literally shaping the world through your rulings. And the game doesn't waste time. The Conquest prologue already lets you rewrite history before you even step into the first fight. But what makes Tyranny stand out isn't just the setting, but how reactive it feels. Every faction, every companion, even random peasants, everyone cares about your choices. And here's the fun part. The game doesn't track you with a single good or bad meter. You can gain favor and wrath with factions at the same time, or loyalty and fear with companions. Both sides open up new dialogue, powers, and some hilariously awkward situations when people admire you and hate you simultaneously. The systems are sharp. Skills grow as you use them, so you're not boxed into a class. Want to swing an axe today and cast lightning tomorrow? Go for it. The spell crafting is another highlight as you build your own magic by combining sigils, tweaking range, effects, and cost. The more you invest in lore, the more wild your creations get. Pair that with companion combo abilities. And the battles, though not the deepest, still have those flashes of brilliance where everything clicks. And yes, it's shorter than you'd expect, clocking around 20 to 25 hours. But that's not really a weakness here, because Tyranny practically begs for replays. Each major path, whether you side with the disciplined disfavored, the chaotic Scarlet Chorus, or flip the bird to everyone, feels like a different game. If you're still with me, the link to the playlist is popping up in the card right now. And before you go, don't forget to smash the hype button, leave a comment, and hit sub so you don't miss what's next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the comments section.